Good morning. This is Dan Rodden. It's September 11th, 2016. 15 years ago, September 11th, 2001, was 9/11. Wind has been dicey. Today it is very appropriate that our lesson is about Christ presenting his body a living sacrifice. But the mood and the tone of the day is a little different, because today is a day to remember those who gave them their lives. Not just 9/11, ever since, because Benghazi was on 9/11. You've had pretty much attacks on America happening all through that period by the radical Islam, which see their way to atonement, or the way they get to heaven, is by killing people, by shedding blood, and sacrificing themselves to get their personal salvation, to get to go to heaven and have all these virgins. But now we have the life of Christ, who his sacrifice was to give his life in order that everybody could have eternal life and forever be fruitful. Miss Lee, on 9/11, 2001, we were somewhere. Where were we?
We were near Indianapolis.
And it was a normal day. I remember it very vividly.
Ready, yeah.
We were camping.
It happened yesterday.
In Indianapolis fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just looking, our television was right by the trailer door, and there were animals all around. It was a normal day, and we were going up to the northern part of Indiana to do a show. It was like early in the morning, because we had to get up early, and I looked at the TV. I had ABC on, and I looked at the TV, and I saw the airplane fly into the first tower.
I was just gathering my things, getting finished dressed, fixing my hair, and you said, "Lee, come here, look at this. A plane just crashed into the towers."
Yeah, and and the ABC people were kind of all over the place of what's going on.
Oh, what is this? We're going, man,
and I
that's
said,
crazy.
"This is terrorism." That's what my instinct.
I remember you said that, and I said, "No, surely somebody wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that on purpose." Yeah. And then, as we were watching, the second one flew in,
and we knew. And we go, no question, this is terrorism. And they're still on ABC trying to
figure out what's going on. No, we knew.
And by that time, we knew we were at war, and we were possibly under attack in a bigger way, and we were very concerned. So we got on the telephones, and we called our families and gave them ways to get in touch with us if the whole system went down, which we didn't know.
Here's the funny thing. We're in Indianapolis, which was, what, Central Time? Everybody else is, like, out on the West Coast.
That we knew, yeah.
That we knew. We're calling them. They aren't even up. They don't even know what's happened, because it's like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we got them up.
And we had an 800 number at that time, I remember, and we
made sure
we said, okay, here's the 800 number.
And it was an internet number, so we could bypass.
We even said we could go to the, we still had phone booths in. We could go to the phone booth and call that 800 number and communicate with each other.
This thing that modern man doesn't know about.
Yeah, cell phones were just kind of coming into being.
Yeah, we had one.
They were there.
But it was very expensive to use.
Right, yeah.
But what's interesting, we got in our car and we're driving up there, and we arrive at our first show. I think it was at 10 o'clock, because that was the normal time for us to have a show.
We probably would have been there a little earlier than that.
And so it may have been 10:30, because many times we would do that.
Yeah, because realize that where this happened in New York was an hour earlier than where we were.
So we get there and everybody's crying. They're all got their TV there in the lobby of this school. And we said,
but they didn't want the kids to see it.
And the kids, these are littler kids.
These are daycare kids.
Well, some of them were up to 3 years old, or third grade.
And preschool. Yeah.
And we asked, do you want if you don't want to do the show, we understand. And because we had a contractual thing that if we came, they had to pay us. But we said, don't. This is unique. And they said, oh no, we want you to do the show because we want the kids to think of this as a normal day.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Yeah. So we unloaded, and it was very hard because here's all the ladies. We'd walk by them, they're crying. We're trying to be cheerful, and we did our show about character, self-control, patience, fruitfulness, kindness, listening, joy, to these little kids with using our animals, our monkeys, our parrots, and all these things. And then we had to do pictures, which was still, they were still crying, and, you know, we were trying to keep the kids happy, and so we finished. And then we had our second show, and this was an amazing thing.
It was a hub right by the airport.
It was at the airport in Indianapolis.
Where all the stewardesses and the pilots brought their children to daycare.
It was the daycare for the stewardesses.
And when we got there, the skies were silent.
There was no sound.
It was the most eerie experience I've ever had in my life.
We got out of the car.
It was so quiet.
And we're by an airport. And normally by an airport,
all kinds of noise.
Cars,
trucks running and
the noise of the airplanes.
and,
There's just lots of noise that you don't realize is even there. Background noise. And the background noise was silent.
It was like being on a sound stage where they said, silence!
Yeah, it was
time to film.
Silent. And as we're driving there,
creepy.
We started noticing the gas prices were exploding.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't
we
remember.
had already filled up
it
that
had already
morning.
Jumped up because I expected that.
We filled up that morning because
quickly I filled up, but it jumped by $1.
Gas gougers, is that what they're called?
Yeah, they were illegal, but they were doing it.
There were places that jumped $5.
Yeah, that's right. It jumped $5.
Because it was.
So we get there and we ask them, now, do you want us to? Oh no, we want to keep it as normal as possible. This one was really hard.
Oh, it was.
Because these were people, their friends were killed in the airplane.
And they knew it.
And it was in the afternoon. By now, we're beginning to know what's going on. They had a TV in their lobby.
There were orphans. In that daycare.
So we're doing the show, and I could see the stewards and the stewardesses and the airline pilots coming in the door behind the kids, not crying, mourning.
Just devastated.
It was, and I'm trying to be cheerful and happy. Now, what is so amazing about this, in all my life, we never did a show in an airport, except that day. It was such an amazing thing to see the emotion of this. And so we got pictures, we finished the show, and we went home, and it was surreal. Even everything was kind of quiet, and it was so amazing. Now what's also interesting is as we traveled from there, we went across the Midwest and down into Oklahoma and to Texas. That was over the next few months. And let's jump forward a little bit, because the interesting thing was how everybody came together.
Oh, I know.
That when George Bush went up there and stood and said, I don't remember what he said.
Something about, we hear you.
We hear you. And it was like he stood with
those
firefighters. Everybody, and everywhere we went, all over America, Americans were united. I had never seen this.
Black,
since
Indians,
I was a little child
people,
in the Korean War. I remember that a little bit, because I was born right after World War II, and Vietnam was not united, and nothing had ever. I'd never seen America. Reagan kind of united us. It was a different kind of united, but this brought America together.
This is where we are Americans. Yeah. That's the only thing that counted.
We're Americans.
We're Americans.
Well, that was very interesting, because then we began to find out about the sacrifice of people that had saved other people. And Todd Beamer comes to my mind. And that's kind of the model that we're going to talk about today with Christ.
Let's roll.
But I want to just do a little bit more of this song here. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. What is so amazing is that the model of sacrifice for others, because of the gospel, has so penetrated American culture that at 9/11 it was demonstrated. It was demonstrated at the towers, but I think Todd Beamer was the best. Do you remember him?
I do.
What do you remember?
I remember "Let's Roll."
Well, why did he say that?
Well, they were on a plane that had been hijacked, flying over Pennsylvania, and supposedly going to fly into the Pentagon or the White House.
They didn't know.
They didn't know. That's what they thought.
But that's what everybody.
But there were a bunch of
the
terrorists
White House is actually
that
what
had
they
taken
think
over the
was going
cockpit. They had taken. I can't hear the song without tearing up. And
well, what happened is Todd Beamer, Lee's starting to cry. They met in the back of the airplane. They all realized they were probably going to die. They had a cell phone that connected with Todd Beamer's wife, and they knew the other two planes had crashed in. They were bombs, and they knew this was one too. They knew what was going on. They weren't ignorant. And instead of cowering in the back in fear, as the Bible says, you're not a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and sound judgment, they had the power, the love for their nation, and the sound judgment to fight, to take on evil. And they organized themselves together to, without any weapons, to attack the terrorists. Now, the terrorists got what they wanted, in a sense. They crashed the airplane. But they didn't crash the airplane.
But they didn't do it themselves.
In the White House or in the Capitol, which we have no idea which one it was, but it was one of them because they were headed there. And they sacrificed their life. They gave their life to save others. And that is the essence of presenting your body a living, holy sacrifice. This is your spiritual service of worship, what Jesus taught. Now, that really brings us to the lesson today, because this is after Jesus is being persecuted by all these Pharisees we've been talking about for a few weeks now.
And we didn't plan this.
This wasn't the plan. Yeah, it's the divine word is here. Yeah. So Lee's going to read now from what verses?
John 10, 1 through 21.
Okay.
I am the good shepherd, and know those who are mine, and I am known by mine, just as the Father knows me, and I also know the Father. And my life I am laying down for the sheep. And other sheep have I, which are not of this fold.
Now that is such an important thing. Jesus said, I'm going to lay down my life for these sheep. They don't have any idea, these disciples, what he's talking about. Because they haven't got the concept yet. They think he's going to Jerusalem to take over as king, which he ultimately is. Right. But first he has to save the people to be his subjects in the new world, in the new heaven and the new earth.
It's a symbol of the lamb and the lion.
That's right.
This is the lamb sacrificing his life.
C.S. Lewis, most people don't know.
Aslan is the lion that comes and redeems the kingdom of Narnia.
Yeah, the Aslan. What was that phrase? The Aslan is not.
Oh, now I'm blank.
Okay, you'll think of it. But anyway, here we have Jesus presenting his body. But what hit me about this is a passage as a very young Christian that really ministered to me. And I want you to read the last little part of that sentence.
My life I am laying down for the sheep, and other sheep have I, which are not of this fold.
I realized he was talking about me. Other sheep.
Well, I love what he goes on to say. Those also must I bring, and they will hear my voice, and there will be one flock, one shepherd.
That was me. I knew I was part. I wasn't in the first century. I wasn't an apostle. I wasn't one of the disciples. But I was following Christ. I was just a baby Christian, and I read this, and I go, holy mackerel. He was actually knew I was going to be here, and he prayed for me.
I think this also has to deal with the
and he did for every other person.
And the Gentiles. Because do you think it does or not? Is it referring to the Jews and the Gentiles?
It's praying. He's saying
the future.
This is Jews are all there are. These are all Jews.
Well, no. I'm saying what he's talking about. I'm laying down, and the other sheep have I, which don't
These
even
were all
know yet.
Jews.
Okay.
Okay? So the normal thinking here was, well, yeah, Jews go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Jews are the
They obey the
believers.
Ten Commandments.
But there's other sheep. See, Gentiles.
Yeah.
And that's everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the picture here. Not all the other religions of the world.
The other sheep.
Not the Muslims, not the Islamists. You have to believe in Jesus. He just said that yesterday or last week in the lesson. You have to follow me. Okay?
Right.
I'm the truth. I'm the good shepherd. Because I'm the only one that lays down his life for the sheep.
All right, you want me to go on now?
Yeah.
Because of this does the Father love me, that I am laying down my life.
Not questioning. It's not a question.
No, because I didn't ask you this question. Because of this does the Father love me. It's how it's written.
Okay, well,
it's grammar.
it's grammar.
That I am laying down my life, so that I may claim it again.
It's basically the way the structure in the English is
the Father loves me because I am laying down my life.
Yeah, this is where this is a bit archaic.
I'm just reading how it's written.
It's consistent with the passage, but not consistent with the thought. Okay, go ahead.
No one is taking it away from me. I, of my own accord, am laying it down. I have authority to lay it down, and authority to claim it again. This command received I from the Father.
Now, this is very interesting because this, as we shoot forward at just before Jesus is dying, just before he's taken into custody on the day that he was crucified, they sent the whole Roman cohort, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, came out to arrest him, and he said, "Who are you looking for?" And they said, "Jesus of Nazareth," and he said, "I am he," or "I am that I am," which is the burning bush again.
Right.
And they fell to their backs.
Yeah, it's hard to picture in your mind what happened because it's like just the authority. And he didn't, I don't believe he shouted it, he just answered their question. And there's such authority within
power.
him.
Yeah, power and authority. Both are exhibited there. He had authority, but he had power.
They just fell on the ground.
And they were knocked to their backs. So they get up, and he said, "Well, who are you looking for?" He asked him again. Mm-hmm. And this time they're very shy.
Yeah,
they don't want to answer.
Whoa, what happened there?
And he says the same thing. They said, "Jesus of Nazareth," it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
And this time, though, he says, "I lay down my life. You don't take me."
Yeah.
He demonstrated to them, if he wanted to, he could annihilate them.
They'd be gone.
But he was not using his will, but the will of the Father. He wasn't disobeying the Father in a sacrifice. And that's a very important lesson for Christians, because that's what is so hard. We want our will, we want our feelings, we want our emotions, we want ours. And that's where in the prayer, the great godly prayer, it says, "Thy will be done in heaven and earth." It's very hard for us to follow every word that proceeds from the mouth of God and follow his will. Mm-hmm. But go ahead and read.
All right. Because of these words, therefore, a division arose again among the Jews. And many of them said, "He has a demon and is mad. Why do you listen to him?" But others said, "These are not the words of a demon-possessed man. Can a demon open the eyes of the blind?"
Now this is
we're back to that blind man again.
That old poor old blind guy and his family that they just wanted to get rid of, And again, it shows the purpose of these miracles was to authenticate who he was. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't get around this. There's historical evidence. This is the man who raises the dead and brings the blind to see. And it didn't matter how much evidence there was, though, some suppressed the truth in unrighteousness. And that's what you see happening here with the Pharisees. So when you do right, don't expect everybody to go with you, because there's a spirit of the world and demonic activity. We're in a war zone, fighting the world, the flesh, and the devil. Jesus is fighting the world here, which was the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the Herodians. Jesus is fighting the flesh here, which they want their power to gratify their flesh. And
the devil.
Jesus is clearly fighting satanic forces. Yeah. If we could have opened the skies, we would have gone, whoa, this is a battle. because that's what's going on that we don't see.
I often think it's a good thing we can't see the spiritual realm.
We'd be afraid.
Oh, we would just...
Or we may be encouraged, because there's
yeah,
angels
well,
too.
there are angels
and there's
fighting
more
for us.
angels than there are demons. So, but we need to pray and pray out loud for God to call the angels to protect and fight for us.
Now, I don't know if you want to go into this, but you believe that praying out loud is important. You want to explain why that is?
Well,
right
it's
now?
not I believe, it's what Jesus demonstrated. Jesus demonstrated pray this way.
Well, yeah, otherwise we wouldn't have known what he was saying, would we? He would have just been thinking
this is why historically, and he then said, Our Father which art in heaven. He didn't pray in unknown words.
Right.
He didn't pray in another language than the people were hearing. He prayed so they could hear him.
Understand what he was saying.
And God could hear him. So the most communication could go on. Because, see, God wants to communicate with us. And communication... Now, what's happened, the babbling was the result of man misusing God's purposes, and he confused the languages. That's not what God wants. God wants oneness in truth, not oneness in the lie. And that's the world. That's the battle. Satan is constantly trying to bring oneness in the lie, and using the philosophies of the world, the flesh and the devil, and God is constantly trying to bring oneness in the truth, which is words. And that's why we are to pray out loud in words. And specifically when we think it's an angelic demonic thing, and I don't understand this, but the people I know and I've seen in my experience too, and I see it in the scriptures, there's like 3 witnesses here, they all have said there's something about speaking out loud.
Mm-hmm.
When we see evil, like for instance in America, secularism, well, you can pray silently. Well, that's not free speech. That's not prayer. That's meditation. That's empty. That's mental.
It's free thought.
Well, there's something about the speaking. And see, God didn't just think of creating the universe. It wasn't just in his mind.
The Word.
He spoke.
Yeah.
And see, we see this all through history of this speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I believe it is very important that we pray, even if we whisper. It's something about that. And I'm not sure I can explain it all, but I've seen its effect, just like the wind. I'm not sure I can explain why the wind does and affects everything, but I sure see the effect.
Can see.
I'm not sure I can explain how electricity makes my lights go.
Hey, we've been cleaning up the effects of wind for
That's
a
right,
week now.
since the hurricane. Okay, well, let's go on because we're
that was the end of
we're
our
at the end.
section today.
Okay, so this has been such an amazing day at 9/11, and we need to pray today that nothing else happens, because 9/11 has been a day that Islamists have chosen to make havoc on the West.
Yeah, they think they won't. And may I say one more thing?
You can say all you want to.
Okay. I just want to bring up this fact of, I know that today there's supposed to be a football team that refuses, the whole team's going to refuse to stand. I don't know if they're going to do it or not. I'm not going to name them because I'm not sure.
Seattle Seahawks.
Is that who it is? Okay,
yeah,
wasn't sure
I know who it is.
Supposedly they're going to refuse to stand when the national anthem is played before the game. And I love football. I mean, I look forward to this time of year because we can watch football. I love football. But you know what? I, along with many others, are really disgusted with what the NFL and these football team leaders are allowing these men who are making millions of dollars
to do. It's not just allowing, it's that
and joining
they're
in.
not on our team.
They're not
They're
on our
not
team.
Americans anymore. And they haven't been for a long time, but I don't think people have realized that.
Yes.
As they're crony capitalists, and they take our money and build stadiums. I don't go to football games. I've been to one in my life or two.
Couple, yeah.
Mostly I didn't pay for them. People gave me tickets. And there were always these rich liberals that gave away tickets to help kids. And I was helping kids, so I got to go. But the thing is, they are taking my money through taxation to pay for these rich liberals to be able to give away these tickets and claim, look how wonderful we are.
Yeah,
This
and
is
as
such
we were
a con
talking
job.
before, some person said, "Well, I don't care what they do at football games.
I don't either.
I don't care. Well, I don't either, but I'm paying for them to do that,
But
so I
why
do care."
they want my money
Yeah.
to do it? And that's where every city in America, pretty much now,
that has a football team
is giving tax money
Mhm.
for this.
And
I love sports. I think it's wonderful. I think it's good for kids. I think it's good for people. I think it's good for community to interact.
Right.
But you know what? When you start taking money from those people who don't participate and giving it to these people, that's called theft.
Yeah.
And it's time to realize the NFL is stealing our money, as well as now they want to steal our country and not over to Islam is really what's going on.
Yeah.
Because the leader of this
And they want us to pay
has
for it.
become an Islam.
And hey, you know
and they
what?
want us to pay
You know
for
what?
it.
In
So
America,
it's time to boycott it. And there's a big movement out there. I don't remember the name right now because I wasn't going to go there. But
Sorry about that.
It's on Twitter that it is an exploding
Yeah,
thing
it is.
that has happened. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds
And
of
here's the
thousands.
bottom line: in America, those people have the right to stand up and say what they want to say. And you
They
know
do.
what? The rest of us have the right to say,
We're not giving you any
we
more
don't
of my
want
money.
we don't want you to play football. Get somebody that'll stand up for the
Well,
American.
I don't care what that team does if they don't take our money.
Well, that's true too.
And see,
but
this is now, they're stealing
not
our
only they're
money,
taking our money,
and now attacking us. And that is the way liberals work.
they're sticking their tongues out at us.
That's right. And,
Well,
and
yeah.
we, the people, it's time to say no. NFL, go sit in your dung pile.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to
And
respect for the people who
respect-
died, 9/11.
You know
We're going
what?
to finish up with the song Amazing
Yes.
Grace. This has been Dan and Lee Rodden and our Sunday class. And we thank you for joining us. We invite you to tell your friends and have them come to oursundayclass.simplesite.com and sign up for our newsletter because you get this plus a lot more stuff. And it's all free. Pray for America.